Welcome to Saturday Baseball. It is 1 o'clock, my time, Eastern time, Saturday afternoon, and I know we will have people in and out for the day, so I'm just going to get started. Those of you listening on demand, hopefully this will help you. Matt Hooper, of course, Matt Hooper, just always having a bad day, His worst year in fantasy this year, but I think it's a lot of worst years going on. The batting average did go up this month. So from April to May, it went up slightly. It was 232 in April, and in May, it was 239. So that's pretty good. We were talking about how it's the worst batting average ever in Major League Baseball history. And we don't have to say that anymore. So it still could be by the end of the season. But at this point, we are out of that whole there's just been a lot less hitting. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot less hitting. The stolen bases are down. The last time so we have the fewest stolen bases since 1971 in baseball this year. We have the fewest ground out into double plays since 1968. We have the fewest doubles since 1989 and the least number of singles ever in baseball history. So this is per game. We're averaging 5 per game, and there's never been a season where we've had this low of singles in baseball. So they're just not even hitting. They're not hitting anything. And that's the thing. So Major League Baseball comes out and they say that they are going to monitor the sticky substances on the ball. And they started the season. This was before the season started. And so early in the season, like Trevor Bauer's, maybe his second start of the season, they said, well, we collected his baseballs and we're going to analyze them and then we'll get back to you. Well, the rule says you could punish these guys anytime. So I don't know, how that's going to work, but they haven't punished anybody yet. And so I think that now, because there's been a lot of drama and ruckus. Hey, Daniel, there's just been all kinds of ruckus going on with the sticky substances. The hitters are complaining and the managers are complaining and all of these. So Major League Baseball comes back, forced into doing something because everybody's talking about it. Otherwise, they would just love to sweep it under the rug like they do everything else. But now they say that the penalty for sticky substances on a baseball is 10 games suspension. Now, I just heard that from Lenny before the show, so I haven't really looked into it that much, but it's just it struck me as quite a harsh punishment. So maybe they're just like trying to say, we don't want you doing this, so we're going to make the punishment like pretty stiff, which will deter people from doing it. I'm good, dude. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you. Yeah, so they say they're going to punish, but the thing that really it makes me wonder what exactly they're thinking of doing. I understand that a lot of times you can't punish the pitcher in the game. Maybe you don't notice in the game, or like I just don't get what's the cutoff. Can we say like in the playoffs, can they say, oh, Trevor Bauer, we've been collecting baseballs and we know that you've been cheating, this day, and this day, and you're out for the playoffs now? What if it's it just seems to me that to say that it's open-ended, that the punishment can be implied like anytime, any given time. So I just think that's not really that fair. So it shouldn't take that long to figure out if somebody has sticky substances on the baseball. In fact, in my opinion, it should probably be pretty obvious that you don't have to wait weeks to find out if there are sticky substances on a baseball. What good is that? It's no good for anybody. It's like if you have kids and you don't punish them immediately for what they did, you can't be like, hey, remember a couple weeks ago when you back talked me or whatever? So now you're being punished for what you did 2 weeks ago. It just doesn't really work that way. And anyway, I feel like baseball is just doing it because they have to. pretty much why they do anything that they do. But we'll see. I did read that the Atlanta Braves, not the Braves specifically, but the business owners in Atlanta are suing Major League Baseball for millions of dollars, and I think that they should win all the money. First, they're trying the lawyer. I saw an interview with the lawyer on TV. He said that first they're going to ask Major League Baseball to move the All-Star game back to Atlanta, and that if they can't do that, which how can they do that? It's just I don't know. It only took them a couple days to find a new place for it, so maybe they can move it back to Atlanta. But think of all of the hotels, think of all of the businesses that were relying on this money, and so now if they can't get the game back in Atlanta, then they're going to be, I hope that they lose. I hope the MLB loses the case, and I hope that they have to pay every single dollar to the people in Atlanta who did not deserve this to happen to them and did not have anything to do with something that the voting laws, whatever it is. MLB obviously didn't even read the voting law before they decided to do that. And even if they did and they don't like the voting law, shouldn't that interfere with their they have what are they? They have a special, they have a carve out in the law that keeps them and protects them from a lot of things. And they just should not be getting it if they want to get political. And anyway, apparently. So, all right, let's talk about Amed Rosario. You want to prioritize. Oh, can I prioritize Amed Rosario, Willie Castro, Hunter Renfro, and Victor Robles for a low dollar fab? Okay. Let's just get this out of the way real quick. Lenny would absolutely say Amed Rosario. He's been saying Amed Rosario all season long. He's got a crush on him, obviously. But if you need stolen bases, I would maybe look at Victor Robles. I think that Victor Robles is a super hard worker. I mean his work ethics are really good, and he had that great season where he hit a bunch of home runs and stole bases too, but he's mostly a speed guy. I know that he was focusing mostly on his speed, and he started the season just horrible. I'm looking at his game log right now, but I did see that he stole a base the other day, and I liked it. Two at bats. Oh no, this is just one day. So in the last 7 days, he has a 0 batting average in the last 7 days. Is that true? Yeah, he has no hits, but he did steal a base. So, and it seems like he gets a walk every now and then, but seriously, I'm not bothering with him until he starts doing something real. That he's not doing anything. I absolutely like Hunter Renfro. He's on my list today as, in the pickups. Hunter Renfro is on my list, so I would probably put him first. And sorry, I lost the chat room. Where did you guys go? Hunter Renfro, Willie Castro, Victor Robles, Amed Rosario. I would choose either Hunter Renfro or Amed Rosario. They both play every day. Hunter Renfro, obviously more for power. Amed Rosario is a stolen base guy, so it depends on what you need on your team. I absolutely. Citizens United gives companies freedom of speech. That's right. Does it give companies the right to... I don't know. There's some, I don't know all of the ins and outs of this suit that's going on, but MLB is being sued, and rightfully so, for what they did to the people of Atlanta that did not deserve, nor did they write the law. They have a contract with Atlanta that they obviously decided wasn't worth anything, but how long did it take them to decide that they were going to have this All-Star game in Atlanta? And I just feel like, regardless of how you are on politically, how you feel politically, it was the wrong thing to do. And I think that this is one of those things where most people can agree, unless you're completely fanatical and you really do believe that they should have punished the Atlanta citizens, that these voter ID laws, supposedly they make it harder for people to vote, but that's just simply not the case. Most Black people have ID cards. And it's hard to argue that. You need an ID card for everything. In fact, the same people that are crying for Vaccine passports. Those are the same people that have a problem with ID cards. I don't get it. How do you have a problem? You can't drive without one. You can't go to school. You can't cash a check. You can't buy cigarettes or beer. You can't do anything without an ID. You can't get on a plane. So it's hard to believe that this is, you don't think anybody should get worked up about it? Well, maybe you should move to Atlanta for a couple of days and feel like what it feels like to be one of the business owners in Atlanta that got totally screwed. I mean, it isn't something I absolutely, I can't believe that you don't understand why somebody would get worked up over it. Obviously, I'm not in Atlanta, but I just think it was a really crappy thing to do. So anyway, moving on. We're allowed to disagree, right, Douglas? A company made a choice. That's true. Company also made the choice to have the game there in the first place, and there's something to that. So it's like here's the schedule, and if I'm a concert, I can't just say, never mind, I'm not coming to your city. There's costs involved in, like, reserving the venue, and I don't know. There's more to it than just that. Atlanta's one of your hometown. I know, and so is Portland, right? Because this is true. You don't need an ID to enter the U.S. illegally. So maybe that's really what the voting laws come down to. I don't know why people are so crazy over voting ID laws. Like, don't you want everybody to vote that has an ID? Don't you want people to have an ID to vote? Because the more people that vote that don't have IDs, then maybe your vote doesn't count anymore. I'm not going to argue about it anymore, Douglas. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that, and you can disagree with me. You're allowed. I still like you. It makes no sense. And I really hope that MLB has to pay out their asses for this. They deserve it. They deserve to get sued for millions and millions and millions of dollars. The $100 million that it cost the Atlanta citizens. That's all I'm saying. That's my opinion. So that's going to be the last, that I get to have the last word on Saturday baseball. Okay. But anyway, nice to see you guys. Stardog, Daniel, Mitchell, nice to see you. I hope I helped you. I think that Renfro is but he is we know what he does because he's been in baseball for long enough to know what Hunter Renfro does. In fact, like at the beginning of the season, Lenny and I were like, Lenny was saying, well, Hunter Renfro could be good. He was actually saying, he was on one of the serious shows, and he was saying, I think Hunter Renfro, and I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, this guy's batting average is the worst. He strikes out all the time, and he's having a good season. I've picked him up and dropped him a couple times already this season, but he's been really good as of late. So we'll talk about some other players to pick up too, just in case. But going over the number of injuries that we've seen, as of May 31st, there were 244 players on the injured list across baseball. That is averaging more than 8 a team. And I'm sure that we as fantasy managers also average about 8 injuries per team, at least. There wasn't a single day all last season when that many players were on the injured list at once. The 244 players on the injured list represented a scary 29% spike if you just compare that with the 61-day mark of last season. So May 30, well, right, was it May 31st? Is there 31 days in May? I think there is. The May 31st, the day before June, that was 61 days into the season. So we can we're at that point in the season where we can start kind of comparing last year's stats to this year's stats, since, we're at that point now. But in 2019, there was never, the full season, 2019, there was never 244 players on the injured list at one time. Now, if you got to add another 103 players to this because of COVID IL. COVID is a different IL. It's there was 103 more players on that. It's not just for positive, it's for contact tracing and quarantine and stuff like that. That doesn't even include the vaccine, the guys that missed days because they were out due to the vaccine symptoms and stuff like that. But just elbow injuries alone are up 28%. And the number of pitchers who made IL visits in the first 2 months of this season was up 47%. Soft tissue injuries, Lenny and I don't know if it was me or Lenny, whatever, we've been talking about it here. Oblique injuries, hamstring injuries literally tripled. They've tripled. And so you were used to seeing a lot of soft tissue injuries, hamstring and stuff, but we are not used to seeing this many. So yes, it is not just a fluke. This is really happening. There's so many injuries. And when they're healthy, they can't hit anyway. So what's the point, right? Oblique injuries are nearly double what they were last year. Groin strain IL placements were up 700% from 2 to 16. That's what we're dealing with. So we're now in June, and I know that Marcus Semien got the American League Player of the Month. He's been excellent this past May. And, of course, on the other side, you have Fernando Tatis, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing good. But let's talk about some two-start pitchers coming up this next week. Starting on Monday, we have Martine Perez, and I bring him up. I know Douglas and I have talked about him a couple times. He's not really a pitcher that you would notice. In fact, if you see his name, you're like, blah. But this is where it would come in handy to not be very experienced in fantasy, because if you don't know his history and all you did was look at his stats for this year, you'd be like, this guy's a decent pitcher. I think I can work with this guy. So I do not like his matchups coming up, though. I have to admit, I definitely don't like him going. He's at home both starts. He's got a 3.09 ERA on the season. In the last 7 days, he made one start, no earned runs, 7 2/3 innings, and 4 strikeouts. And even in the last 2 weeks, last 21 days, he's got a 1.82 ERA over the last 21 days. That would be 4 games started. Winning, he's won 4 now. That's 4 games, 4 wins. Amazing. Last time I checked Martine Perez's wins, he did not have that many. Like, he barely had any. So it's nice to see he's won his last 4. 24 innings, 19 hits, 20 strikeouts, and a 101 whip. But he's going up versus Houston at home against Framber Valdez, and then he faces Robbie Ray. He's facing Robbie Ray at home too, which they should be able to hit. Hunter Renfro should be able to hit lots of home runs off Robbie Ray. He's been pretty lame lately. Martine Perez, though, he just pitched a day or two ago. He threw 7 2/3. That's the most innings that he's thrown in any start this season. But he is constantly he had 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 7 starts, he hasn't thrown anything less than 5 innings, and that adds up in points league for sure. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but regardless, Boston's winning. I don't really like the first matchup, but he is at home, and I would probably put him on my roster for sure. 2-start pitcher, Antonio Senzatella, Colorado guy. Yes, I know, Colorado guy, but he's actually much better at home. The Colorado starting pitchers are good at home this year. He has a 3.83 ERA at home and a 7.15 ERA on the road. This is exactly why I would not be putting him. I know he's going to be very popular this week to be picking up, and that's why I'm talking about him right now. I know that he's going to be like 2-start pitcher. Don't spend a lot of money on this guy. I like the fact that he's going and pitching in Miami. I don't like the fact that he has a 7.15 ERA on the road. I also don't like the fact that he's going to Cincinnati right after that. So, I mean, while I like Miami as a great place to pitch for pitchers, he's not doing well on the road. His team can't hit on the road, so he won't get a lot of run support. And I don't know, man. I'm really hesitant to even look at him this week. But if he's still available, like in the coming weeks, or if somebody just picks him up to stream him, I would consider picking him up and pitching him at home only, which is very odd, but that's where his team hits, and that's where he's been good. So on Wednesday, he allowed 3 runs, but only one of them was earned. So the stats actually look better than they are. He did allow 3 runs, but only got charged with 1. and walked 1, and he struck out 3, 7 2/3. He surrendered 3 doubles in that outing, and that's what the stats don't show you. The last 4 starts in 23 2/3, 9 runs, 6 of them earned, no home runs allowed, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, 4 hit by pitch. He's hit 4 batters in the last 4 starts. He hits a batter every, what is this? He hits a batter every time? It's crazy, dude. So from May 16th to June 2nd, he hit 4 batters. Still, his ERA is 2.28 with a 1.14 whip. He doesn't strike out a lot of batters, 4.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. So I would pass on him too. Chris Bubick. Douglas, how do you say it? Oh, Perez. You picked, okay, right. Anyway, Chris Bubick at LA and at Oakland, both away games. I really like this guy. So he actually got put into the Kansas City rotation because somebody came up from the minors and couldn't hang. I can't remember who it was, but he immediately got sent back down to the minors after that start. But Bubick came in and he pitched like 4 or 5 innings that day, and he's been allowed to get starts since then. So in 27 2/3, he's only allowed 15 hits, strikeouts 20, 0.98 ERA, a 105 whip, and his strikeouts per 9 are 6.5, so it's not that great. But so going back to last year in the minors, in fact, obviously this is his first season in the major leagues. He's pitched 50 innings. No, that was last year. Last year was his first season in the majors. He did pitch 50 innings last year. He made 10 starts for Kansas City. 91.5 mile an hour fastball, but his ERA was 4.32. His FIP was right there too, so it wasn't that was about right. But in his first start at the major league level, it wasn't that bad. In his minor league career, he was rather good. So I do think that he is worth picking up. In 5 starts, 3 earned runs, 1 home run allowed. Last outing, he needed 87 pitches to get through 4 1/3 innings. That's no bueno. But he did strike out 6, and he allowed 3 earned runs. So that was the second time he faced the Twins in a week. So I do wonder about this because he hasn't faced any other team more than once. So he happened to face the Twins, and then the very next outing he faced the Twins again. The first one was away and the second one was at home. So he's faced them in both places. And the second time the Twins faced him, they might have figured something out because he did not have a great outing against the Twins the second time around. We will see. So moving on, Tony Gonzalen. We talked about Tony Gonzalen a lot on the roundtable and just in general. He's got to play. I bring him up right now because he's on the list for 2-start pitching, and he is going to. The Dodgers are putting him out there for 2 starts this week, according to RotoWire. That's what it looks like. He's got his first start at Pittsburgh, which is wonderful. You couldn't even really ask for a better matchup than that. And then his second start is at home against Texas. 2 great starts for this kid. Now, he went to the IL. He'd pretty much been there the whole season. He had right shoulder inflammation. It took him like 8 to 10 weeks to get back. Now, I know that the Dodgers left him in the minor leagues rehab long enough so that he could build up his pitch count to 75 pitches. I don't think this is going to be a situation like Dinelson Lamet and these other pitchers that it seems like they come back and they're only letting them go like a few innings. I don't think that's going to be the case because I do know that they gave him enough rehab starts in the minors to get up to 75 pitches. So he's joining the rotation so far. Who knows if that will last because they do have a very crowded rotation at this point. He's still going to be high risk. They didn't find any structural damage earlier in the season, but they did. I just read an update today on him, and they said that he's still going to be very high risk for at least the first half until for the next month or so. He's really high risk. Hopefully, if nothing bad happens to him, then he will start to become less and less risky. But he's a good pitcher. I don't know. I mean, in 2020, he had a 2.31 ERA, and in 2019. He had a 2.93 ERA, so both seasons under 3 ERA. He's absolutely worth a pickup. Love the matchups. Couldn't be better matchups for him, really. Now we talk about some other pitchers to consider that maybe, not 2-start pitchers, but Josh Fleming is going to face Baltimore, Keegan Aiken at home. He's got a 3.44 ERA on the season. He's 5-4, and he did take the loss on Friday. He gave up 5 runs and on 10 hits in 7 innings. It was his longest outing of the season, and it was exciting to see him go 7 innings because he had yet to do that. But he came up last year and was a relatively good pitcher last year. Tampa Bay is known for bringing up good pitching. Who knows, though, what they're never secure in their job. Like, we're going to talk about some closers in a little bit. We're going to talk about the situation in Tampa and Baltimore and some of these other teams. But Tampa is just one of these teams, like even the best player on the team, you aren't convinced 100% that he's going to get full-time at bats. And you just never know what the Rays are going to do. And whatever they are doing is working for them because they spend a lot less money than the rest of the teams, and they seem to always be competing. So, he didn't have a great outing, his last outing, but he did accomplish 7 innings, which I'm happy about. And I would take the earned runs any day if I could make, if a pitcher's going to be staying late in the game. So I hope that he's worked his way up and now he's hit that mark and maybe he will pitch more innings. Joey Gallo hit a solo home run off of him in the 5th inning. He's still only, let's see, he's got a 3.44 ERA, a 109 whip, and 30 strikeouts with 12 walks in 52 innings this season. So Tucker Davidson is the next one. He will be facing Miami. Actually, I'd much rather him go to Miami, but he's going to be at home in Atlanta against Miami Pablo Lopez. You don't like that either. He's a pretty good pitcher. So this guy, now let me look at what he's doing here. He's got a couple starts now. He shut out the Nationals for 5 innings on Thursday. He allowed 1 hit and struck out 5. He did walk 5. How do you even leave a pitcher? I'm just baffled at the number of walks that teams will allow their pitcher to get and before they yank him out of the game. It's unbelievable. Maybe because they're just shorthanded because everybody's injured, maybe. I don't know. He, in his first start on May 18th, he only walked 1, and he had 3 earned runs in 6 innings with 5 strikeouts. So he's pitched at least 5 innings both times. He had command issues in the minors, but we'll see what happens. So far, so good here. He's facing Miami. They're not great. They're not as bad as one thinks they are, though, because they're a little sneaky, really, to be honest. Vladimir Gutierrez. He's going to face now. He pitches for Cincinnati. He is going to face Milwaukee Brett Anderson. I don't even know. Is Brett Anderson an opener now? Or, this guy is not going to strike out anybody. Vladimir Gutierrez, 25 years old, 2.70 ERA. He's made 2 starts this season. Each of them are 5 innings apiece. He made it through 5 each. 6 strikeouts in 10 innings. So he's replaced Jeff Hoffman, injured. First 2 outings seem pretty good. He faced the Cubbies, who have been very good lately. He only allowed 3 base runners and a run in his debut. And then he faced the Cardinals on Thursday. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits in just the first inning. So he actually did pretty good because he was able to go the next 4 innings. Nobody got a hit off of him. So he was a little flustered in the first inning, calmed down, and he struck out 21 batters in 17 innings at AAA this season before he was called up. So there's kind of some hope there. I like him. I absolutely think that he's worth a flyer here. He is going to be facing Milwaukee at home. And then Tarik Skubal, I know, he was exciting last year, and everybody likes the fact that he throws almost 100 miles an hour. Everybody likes that. He does strike out a lot of batters. In fact, he wasn't up here. Tarik Skubal, he was horrible to start the season, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's available in your league, and he's gonna still see bumps in the road. But this is now he absolutely makes up with his downsides with positive things like striking out at least eight batters in 3 of his last 4, and also at the same time 2 earned runs or less in 3 of his last 4. So 3 of his last 4 starts have been very good. He is striking out 10.4 batters per 9 innings. So even if he does walk or if he doesn't throw late into games, he's still striking out batters. He only has 2 wins and 7 losses, but put that behind us and move forward. Then we look to the forward looking. His xFIP is 488, so don't be surprised if he gets shelled because that's what youngsters do. But he's worth putting on your team if you need lots of strikeouts, and who knows? I mean, look, he's got to face the White Sox. He's probably the last one on my list for this week, but he's been doing well, and I think he should be paid attention to. Alex Cobb is going up against Arizona. I think he's owned in like 40% of leagues. Arizona, Caleb Smith. Okay, he's using a split finger fastball, and batters are hitting like 200 off of it. In fact, the expected batting average against on that pitch is 188. It's really good. He started out the season pretty bad. He has been on the injured list for the last month or so. He's made 2 starts since he came back, since returning. He pitches better in LA. There is a noticeable difference here. I'm talking about like a good noticeable difference, but I don't see those splits last year, so it's probably just a fluke. And his 2 starts since returning from the injured list, he's striking out 11.61 batters per 9. And I mean, I don't believe that. I think it's a total lie. This is going to be the strikeout rate of this guy. He does not do that. I mean, in between 2017 and 2020, he struck out less than 7 batters per 9 innings. That's almost 400 innings worth of sample size. So believe me, he is not going to continue striking out this many batters, although he is using that new pitch. Well, it's not really a new pitch, split finger fastball. He's just using it a lot more, and it's working for him. So isn't it nice when pitchers use their best pitch and, when they actually throw their best pitch? That's always good idea. But Alex Cobb, yes, he's had a couple good starts. Yes, he's been much better ever since he came off the IL. And yes, he's going to Arizona and facing Caleb Smith. So the chances are good he will be excellent at least stream this week. Another guy that you might want to be interested in picking up is Jesus Luzado, Oakland starting pitcher. He's pitched in 8 games this year. 6 games started. He's now in the bullpen. He is a good pitcher, though. I do not foresee him staying in the bullpen long term, obviously. They have Cole Irvin. They have James Caprielian. I don't even know how to say his name. But one of these 2 guys is going to get kicked out once Luzardo is warmed up enough. I think that he's worth picking up and stashing right now. I definitely think he's good enough pitcher. I mean, just a couple years ago, he was like the best lefty in prospect in baseball, pitching wise, obviously. If you like another guy too that is worth taking a look at that I didn't even talk about here, but I think I have him on my list. Oh, he's in the injury report. He's in the injuries. We'll talk about him in a minute. Luis Severino. So out of all these pitchers, I mean, I don't have these in any specific order of best to not, best to worst, but definitely, if you have a spot on your roster and a bench spot, if you can pick up a player and bench him immediately, I would pick up Luis Severino so fast. He is now supposed to start his rehab in the minors tomorrow. He will start his rehab. He's already been doing like bullpens and he's been doing all of this stuff, working his way back, and now he's actually ready to face batters in games at rehab in the minors. And that means that I would say he is bound to come up sooner than later, and he is totally worth spending like all your fab money on. I'm just kidding. I don't know, but he's worth spending a good chunk of fab on. We like Tony Gonzalen for sure. I'm not a fan of Senzatella this week, even though everybody else is going to be. Tucker Davidson, not so much. Gutierrez, okay. Tariq Skubal, whatever. I don't know. These are just. Let's talk about closers. Guess how many relievers got multiple saves in the past 2 weeks? I think this is just on the waiver wire in Tout Wars. I think this is the number of closers. This is the number of relief pitchers that got at least one save in the last 2 weeks that are free agents. Let me make sure I'm right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 with multiple saves on available players on waivers. And then there is a whole shitload of other ones that got at least one save in the last 2 weeks. I would say there's probably, let's see, I think I did the math here. Hold on. There's 7 relievers with multiple saves over the last 2 weeks and 30 with at least one save available in Tout Wars. Okay? That's crazy. In all of MLB, there were 55 relievers with a save in the last 2 weeks alone and 24 with multiple saves in the last 2 weeks. So let's talk about a couple that could be useful to you. I'm sure there's more than what I have on my list, but I thought I'd do a quick update on some of these teams like Colorado. Daniel Bard. I like Daniel Bard, and he's been having a horrible season, but I have to say, in the last week alone, he's pitched 4 innings. He struck out 8. He hasn't allowed any runs. In the last 2 weeks, he's pitched 6 innings, 13 strikeouts. And in the last 21 days, the last 3 weeks, he's pitched 8 1/3 and struck out 16. He's walked 2, and he has 2 saves. He's going to Miami this week, and then he's going to Cincinnati. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities because the Colorado Rockies are just not that good. But I'm telling you, this guy was horrible. His ERA year to date is over 4, and his WHIP is 1.54. He's had a horrible start to the season. He has now 6 saves and 3 blown saves. So I can understand why many people have dropped him. But things are looking up. He hasn't given up a run in the last 3 weeks. No earned runs in the last 3 weeks. So, okay, he is a closer in Colorado still. And then over in Baltimore, you have Paul Frye, Cole Salser, and now Hunter Harvey. And this is all because of Cesar Valdez not pitching well. But here you have a situation where you cannot rely on any of these guys to get most of the saves this season. Paul Frye just got a save last night. He's a lefty, so I guess you could assume that he's probably not going to get as many save chances as the other guys if all else were even, but he's going to get some save opportunities depending on matchup. He also he can throw more than 1 inning, so he's kind of like an effector. The last 2 weeks, he's pitched 6 innings, struck out 9, no earned runs. 0.75 WHIP, and in 22 appearances, he's only allowed runs in 2 of 22 appearances, 33 strikeouts in 22 innings, a 1.99 ERA on the season, and he has 2 saves and 2 blown saves. So between 2018 and 2020, he has 5 saves and 7 blown saves. That's never a good sign for a potential closer. And if you see that they blow more saves than they actually are successful, it's usually not a good sign. On to, that was Paul Frye. Now, Cole Salser, Cole Salser hasn't allowed a run in his last 8 appearances, 12 strikeouts in 8 2/3, 1 win and 1 save. Last year, he had 5 saves and 3 blown saves. So at least he has more saves than blown saves, but still not that great. He's improved his swinging strike rate. Now it's at 38% strikeout rate. His fastball is 93.2 miles an hour. In the last 2 weeks, he has 1 save and no earned runs. Lots of people would maybe say that he could be the closer, but then you have Hunter Harvey. Everybody likes Hunter Harvey, and I'll tell you why. He throws the ball almost 100 miles an hour. He strikes out a lot of hitters, and they say that he's super exciting to watch. This guy was drafted in 2013. He is not a youngster. In fact, he's younger than I thought he was, okay? I think he's like 26 this year. There was just an article at The Athletic just today or yesterday where the management is always like, he's so exciting to watch, and we really are looking forward to putting him in high leverage situations and stuff like that. But he's not done well at the major league level. So every bit of hope that we have is based on nothing. It's based on what we saw in the minor leagues a couple years ago. Between 20 and his dad, of course, is probably, I don't know. The guy's got a mullet. He seems like a nice guy. Seems like he works hard. He's had a lot of injuries, just riddled with injuries since he was drafted 8 years ago. He had Tommy John surgery. Last year he had a elbow strain. He's only pitched 15 innings in the majors. That's entering this season, which I think now he has 1 inning this season in the majors. So now he's pitched 16 innings in his entire 8-year career as a Major League Baseball player. So in 2019, he threw 82 innings. That's the most he's thrown in a season. But as a closer, you don't need much more than that, right? Still, he threw only 55 innings between 2015 and 2018 combined. He only threw 55 innings. He's a future closer, but I'll believe it when I see it, okay? Because I'll believe it when I see it. His fastball is 98 miles an hour, and he struck out a lot of batters in the minor leagues, but he did not strike out a lot of batters here. But like I said, he's only pitched 15 innings in the majors, so I'm not even really going to harp on his major league numbers, but I can assure you that they're nowhere near what his minor league numbers were, so that's a question mark as well. I do think they want him in as the closer, but I don't think it's going to happen just like that. I don't think he's just going to, obviously he's not just going to walk in and get the job, because we saw him pitch. I think he came in the 7th inning in his first, since he was activated, or I'm sure he was injured again. Watch out for the injuries. They are a huge problem for him every year. So in Baltimore, just to sum it up, you have Paul Frye, Cole Salser, Cesar Valdez, and Hunter Harvey that are all capable of getting saves and capable of blowing saves. Although I do think, as an effector, they wanted, I think that there's certain types of pitchers that these managers like to put in before the closer comes in, the ones that can pitch more than 1 inning. And so I think that both Paul Frye is one that I think that they like to keep there in that spot, and Cole Salser too, even though he got a save just recently. I mean, in the last 1 week, I think that Baltimore's had 3 closers get a save in 1 week. So, I mean, really, all I've just told you this whole time with Baltimore is basically, dude, let's sum it up. Stay away from Baltimore closers because they are iffy at best. And Kyle Zimmer in Kansas City. Lenny asked me last week, he asked Crystal Ball, my twin. He asked who's going to be the closer in Kansas City. And I said Kyle Zimmer because I felt like I just think he's the better of the closers. But they also have Greg Holland. Stallmount is injured. That's why this whole conversation comes up in the first place. But they have Barlow and Holland. Holland's been, I don't know, not that bad. He's had on the season, he's got a 3.99 ERA, which is pretty bad for a closer. He started the season as the closer. He has the most experience as a closer, but he has 3 saves and 2 blown saves. 1 blown save just in the last week. So that brings up another conversation about who's next in line for this in Kansas City. Okay, for Kyle Zimmer, no earned runs in the last 10 appearances. He has 2 saves and 3 wins. He can pitch multiple innings. That's why I think he's the most fantasy relevant in the conversation for Kansas City. He's the most fantasy relevant because of those things. He can pitch multiple innings. He can get wins. He can get saves. And we've seen that for him because like I said, he has 2 saves, 3 wins And from April 23rd through June 3rd, he's pitched 10 innings, no earned runs, 10 strikeouts, 2 wins, 1 save, an 0 ERA, 3 holds too. He's useful all across the board. He's been useful. So I like Kyle Zimmer. He's not young. He's 29. He throws his pitches 94 miles an hour, and he doesn't hardly give up any home runs. Very decent number of walks. Not horrible. And he strikes out 8.14 batters per 9. I just think he's a better closer of the choices here. But Barlow, too. Barlow. Let's see what Barlow's doing. 29 innings this year. 20 hits. Only 6 earned runs. He's got a 1.86 ERA. 9 holds. This guy, he's I think he is definitely a reliever, a setup guy, a multi-inning pitcher, an effector, call him whatever you want. He's got 43 strikeouts in 29 innings. 2 saves, 1 blown save, and 2 wins. That's Barlow. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He got his second save on Thursday. 9 holds and 2 wins, I told you. Let's move on over to Tampa Bay, the other really frustrating team for closers. But JP Firerison, he has 2 saves in the last 7 days, 3 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts. The last 2 weeks, he has a win and 3 saves, just in the last 2 weeks. So 7 innings in the last 2 weeks. 1.29 ERA. I think that they're going to give this guy the chances. It seems like the last several opportunities have been Firerison. Although Diego Castillo has 1 save and 1 win in 3 appearances. Fairbanks, this is just the last 7. Is this the last 7 days? Maybe it's the last 2 weeks. Fairbanks, 5 games. He's pitched in 5 games, 4 1/3 innings, no wins and no saves. He is getting screwed the worst out of all of these guys. This is a pitcher that I think that there was lots of fantasy experts that liked him as a potential saves guy in Tampa. But you know how they go there. They're just, all 3 of these guys are capable of closing out games. But all 3 of them are going to get saves. All 3 of them are going to get played based on matchup. And you can never trust these guys in fantasy. Now let's talk about some hitters. Let me check in with the chat room, see how you guys are doing. How's it going? Matt Hooper, dude, I was just talking about you. Unholy Toledo, yay. You don't think Valdez will be getting a save for a while? In Kansas City, you don't have a reason to lean toward any of them. Well, they get saves. I don't know. It's better than Tampa. And, of course, Matt Hooper has Ryan Presley and Liam Hendricks as his closers. That's not horrible. Douglas says that he's pondering Yusmeiro Petit. Why isn't he on my list? Why are you eyeing him? Tell me more. Let me look at him. Oakland. He's getting wins is what he's doing. Let me see what he's doing. He pitches 1 2/3, 1 1/3. He's got I don't know. I don't think so. Dude, why do you like this guy? Maybe he, did you see the complete game with Ryan Yarbrough? Out of all the pitchers, I mean, not out of all the pitchers, but Tampa Bay finally allows their pitcher to go a complete game. I believe it was a 7-inning game. I'm not positive of that, but it was interesting because you never see, like, Blake Snell hasn't pitched 6 innings in years. So, yeah, I see him. He's the 3rd in line in the bullpen. I don't see any reason that Petit would be on your radar unless he's getting saves. Is he getting saves? I'm sure you'll tell me in the chat room what he's doing. He's got 30 innings on the season, 1 save, 1 blown save, 7 wins, dude. Are you kidding me right now? He has 7 wins. Oh, I gotta get this guy too. He hasn't started any games, so he's absolutely rosterable as a reliever in Tout Wars. Let me see if he's available because I will be so excited. Sorry, you guys. Holy moly, 7 wins. This is like the dream relief pitcher right here. He doesn't start. He doesn't need to go 5 innings. Yes, he's owned. Damn. He's probably been owned for a while, and I haven't been noticing this. He was dropped by Ariel Cohen, dropped him on April 26th, and then he was picked up on May 31st. So I missed him by a week. And he was put right into the reliever spot in this Tout Wars League that you have to have 2 relievers all the time. Good eye, Douglas. Good one. Apparently, I'm the one that's out of the loop here, but I'm glad you brought him up. It took me a second to figure out what it is about him that you like so much, but now I know. 7 wins it is. Hitting time. Let's talk about hitters. This guy, Donovan Solano, nobody's talking about him. He's 33 years old. I realize this, and I understand why you could laugh at me for saying Donovan Solano, but they play 6 games next week. The Giants play 6 games. He is the starting second baseman for them. I know he's 33, but they're going on the road, so they get out of this pitcher's park and they're going to Texas and Washington. He's reached base in each of the last 6 games. He's got a .318 batting average over that time. He has 1 home run and 4 RBIs, .385 on base percentage. He doesn't strike out a lot. He takes a walk a lot. I mean, not a lot, but about the same as he strikes out. So Solano is good for certain types of leagues, and I absolutely think that he's rosterable this week. Giants have good matchups this week. Patrick Wisdom, third baseman. I think people are higher on him than I am. He can play first base. He qualifies at third base. Okay, don't let me confuse you here. He qualifies at third, but he can play first, third, and right field. Obviously, Chris Bryant is out in right field because Hayward is injured and Wisdom's been playing third base. He should get playing time over the next couple weeks, but he strikes out. This is the thing about him. He won't be on any of my teams. I know people are talking about him, but this is why you should stay away from him. He strikes out 31% of the time, and he only makes contact 66% of the time. His batting average on balls in play is 500, and that is not going to last. So I will say, Cubby fan or not, you got to stay away from Patrick Wisdom. He will hit home runs, though. That's the thing. He will hit homers. In the last 7 days, he's hit 3 home runs, drove it in 4. With 5, he scored 5 times, drove in 4, and hit 3 home runs in the last 7 days. So that's 21 at bats. He is going to hit for power. That's what we know. But he is such a 3 true outcome type of hitter. I don't know. I just think his strikeout rate is too high. His contact rate is not good. So he will hit homers. That's it. Tyler Naquin, if he's available, I think that a lot of people got frustrated with Tyler Naquin and dropped him. He is easy to drop because he was so disappointing after a couple weeks of hitting lots of home runs. Then he just stopped hitting. He's only batting .222 in the last 2 weeks, but he does have a home run, 1 home run. I think he's hit like 1 home run in the last 3 weeks combined. But in the last 2 weeks, he has 7 RBIs. No, 7 RBIs in the last 7 games. 7 RBIs in the last 7. 1 home run, only 1 in the last 2 weeks, though. And he bats 5th in the order. So Tyler Naquin, if he's available, he's going to get RBIs. He's going to score runs. Even if he doesn't hit all those home runs, which he probably won't. But he still bats in the middle of the order. He's batted like everywhere in the lineup so far, but he usually bats in the middle. So if he's available, that could be okay. James McCann, I'm so annoyed at him, but he is obviously hitting now. He's hitting like crazy. He's got 3 home runs in the past 7 games, 9 RBIs. He's batting .385. That's not going to last with a .407 on base percentage. Here's the thing. He's always had problems with strikeouts. He's always struck out like 27% of the time. So he's never going to be great at that, but he will usually hit for some power. Though he is batting 3rd. So he also moves around in the batting order, depending on obviously how bad he's doing. But he did not like splitting playing time with Nido. He did not like it when he got his playing time taken from him. And now he's playing first base too. So both him and Nido are getting in the lineup at times. Both of them are in there. So he started getting his shit together immediately when he started getting benched. And so maybe it worked going forward if he's available. I doubt he is, but I mean, I was so frustrated with him that I was super close to cutting him. Super close. I think he's back though. He had a much better season last year, and my expectations were quite high for him. Here's Hunter Renfro, 8-game hit streak, including multiple hits in 4 of the last 8 games. Hunter Renfro is a must-add right now, this week. 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, batting .481 over the past 8 games. That will not last. He strikes out 27.6% of the time. He does crush lefties, okay? And he's actually, I mean, on the season, he's having a good season. Bats 6th in the order. Let's see what else about him. 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 2 walks. No stolen. He doesn't steal bases, so that's what it is. Tony Kemp. He doesn't steal bases either. Not that I know of. He bats 9th. Okay, Oakland, Tony Kemp, replacing Laureano right now, playing second base and outfield. He qualifies at both second base and outfield. He's capable of also playing shortstop, but he hasn't played there this year. He can play all 3 outfield spots, though. He bats 9th, but think about who he's batting in front of, though. In the American League, you have he's batting in front of like the top of the lineup, which would be Mark Canha and like pretty good hitters over there in Oakland. 6-game hitting streak for Tony Kemp. He walks a lot, and that's always good. He doesn't strike out a lot. In fact, he walks about as much as he strikes out, which is about 14-15%. So he has an 80% contact rate. So you know what that says? That he's like a pure hitter. What do they call him? Basically a guy that doesn't hit for lots of power and just has good plate discipline. That's what he does. In the last 6 games, 25 plate appearances. He has 8 hits, batting .364 with 1 home run and 7 RBIs. You got to love the RBIs. That's because even though he bats at the bottom, he's still batting in front of good hitters. So Tony Kemp will get playing time with Laureano out. Laureano has a cortisone shot in his hip the other day, and we don't really know when he's coming back, but we know that he's going to miss more than the minimum 10 days. There's no structural damage in his hip, so that's good. He's tentatively scheduled to start running sometime this next coming week. So he's not close to coming back. Let's talk about some other injuries. I did already talk about Severino. He has been throwing bullpen sessions recently. He's working his way back from Tommy John. He did throw 3 simulated innings, and then he's going to start his rehab in the minors tomorrow, Sunday. Yes. He's going to need several rehab starts to build up his workload, and then voila, there he is pitching for the Yankees. Absolute must add if you don't have to play him immediately. George Springer, I'm writing off George Springer. This is the saddest news of the day. I don't know. He's already been on the injured list twice. If somebody wants to trade me, I will take it. I will take pretty much any trade at this point for him. He has now, first he had oblique, then he came back, and now he has quad strain. Last week he was cleared to go through some outfield drills and said it was the best that he had felt since the initial injury occurred, which is great, but best case scenario is a rehab assignment in the next 2 weeks, and then he's going to spend at least a week making sure that nothing aggravates his quad. And then, I don't know, the teams that I have him on, I don't have to drop him because we have unlimited injury spots, but I can trade him in to get fab money. I can trade him in for 3 times what I paid for him at the draft. And I'm seriously considering it, but I do have others that I could do before that. Like Nick Anderson, he's gone. Carlos Carrasco is going to get traded back for 3 times what I paid for him. Some leagues allow you to do this, and it's really nice. The other guy that I'm pretty much writing off on the season that I think I will actually throw back into the marketplace, because this league is an NL only league that I'm in. I've had this guy on my injured list since the beginning of the season. We only have a couple injured spots for players, and I've been holding on to him. And as soon as I find somebody to pick up, I'm dropping him. He is Sixto Sanchez, and now he has another setback. This guy is not ever healthy anyways, but he finally threw bullpen. He was up to bullpen sessions last week, and now he has more soreness, renewed soreness. And they stopped his process now. Once again, they've stopped his process. They're telling him, don't pick up a baseball for another couple weeks, but he's already missed 2 months, and it's just super annoying. There's nothing to wait for this guy. He basically has to restart his entire throwing program because he missed the first 2 months. So when he is finally back to pitching, he's still going to have to go through and work his way up from scratch, basically from nothing. Because he's totally, at the Athletic, the doctor there that writes the injury updates, he said that Sixto Sanchez needs to have another MRI because something is wrong, and they need to figure out what it is, and they need to get to the root of the cause of the problems. They need to really figure out what's causing the soreness. And whatever. The Marlins say it's a small setback, but after how much time he's already missed, it's very concerning. I'm writing him off. I also wrote off the other day Mike Soroka as being written off for the season. Just no bueno. I'm pretty much done with my notes. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat room. Mitchell, are you still there? Tomorrow we have Douglas at noon, and then we have George's show at 6, and me and Lenny are on from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. Matt Hooper, you crack me up. Solano, multi-position eligible, yes. Wisdom is more of a DFS. Totally agree. Wisdom's good for DFS. Let's see who's playing today. Let's see what we could do. Maybe it's too late to do a DraftKings lineup. Let's see. It's a nice day out here. Lenny just got home from the pool. Hi, Leonard. Maybe he's sitting outside. I don't hear him down there. But let's see what DraftKings is doing. Do we have time to still play or what? Let's see. Yes, we do have time to play, okay? In 6 minutes, one starts. These are early games, so the games haven't even really started yet. I'm not going to make 6 minutes. Or can I? Maybe I can. Let's see. Let's do a quick. I like the classic ones with max number of entries. I like this single entry one. So we'll do $5 single entry. Let's see who we want to pick for pitching. I'm going to take Rich Hill at Texas. And I'm going to take Giolito at home. Okay, for catcher, we got to take somebody cheap. I usually wait till the end to get this, but Severino's been hitting good, right? Let's do that last. Let's pick a first baseman. I'll take Yuli Gurriel against Stripling. We'll take second baseman Jonathan Scope. He's been hitting really good lately. For third baseman, we could take Miguel Sano at Kansas City. No. Donaldson. Minnesota at Kansas City. Lefty will take Donaldson. And shortstop will take Freddie Galvis. No, he's been okay. I gotta wait for that one. Let's do outfielders. Odubel. He's cheap. We'll take Odubel. He's batting leadoff. Benintendi batting third. We'll take him. And Naquin. Should we take him too? No, he's playing at St. Louis. I don't like it. Josh Rojas. Now we need a shortstop. We'll take Freddie Galvis. No. I gotta reserve this. Okay, I have to finish drafting now. Oh no. Okay, Rich Hill. Giolito. Yuli. I don't know if I'm going to make this. Josh Rojas. Who did I have at third base? It doesn't matter. I just need to pick some people to get this thing in. So, just a second. Benintendi. Naquin. Okay. So I got this in. I can edit it, but I was almost going to run out of time and I got like really freaked out. So we have Giolito and Rich Hill. We will take them. And then we're going to... Can you imagine Yasmani Grandal? Do you see what he's doing? He is going crazy with his on-base percentage, and he is his batting average is absolutely horrific. He's batting like in the 100s. It's crazy. But so that's my team. No, I'm not taking Rosario. I just put that in so that I think I'll take Freddie Galvis at shortstop. Teoscar Hernandez. Winker's hitting good. I don't like him at St. Louis, but Eddie Rosario at Baltimore against a lefty. Odubel. That's who we like. Odubel, Benintendi, and Tyler Naquin. I like those three. And so that's what we'll do. And then third baseman. I can get an expensive third baseman. Arenado, I like. Donaldson, I like too. What catcher should you do you guys like? Okay, that's it. That's my team. I gotta change it real quick. So I have Omar Narvaez, Zach Collins, Trevino, Barnhart, Alfaro, Hedges, Vogt, Pedro Severino, Reese McGuire. Maldonado is not horrible. These guys are all really cheap. I'll take the one that's batting fifth or fourth. Pittsburgh or Miami guy. Okay, that's it. See you guys later. I'm out. You don't really need to watch this anyway, so have a good day.